We're going to ignore the fact that this video probably should have come out last month instead. Hi everyone, my name is Chloe, welcome back to my channel, thank you for being here today. Today's video is going to be my anticipated releases for the second half of the year, minus 1 month, because like I said, this video probably should have come out in June. I did have plans to film it then, and then life happened and other videos needed to go out and all sorts of things, but better late than never is what we're going with here. I previously made a video during Bookmas, so last December, where I talked about my most anticipated releases for the first half of the year, although actually I think that one ended up being like January to May because there weren't that many that I'd seen for June, and then this is going to be August through December, so we're kind of just missing June and July in general. There have definitely been books that have come out that probably should have been on this list, but we're going to ignore that, and the list that I've got today is broke down, like I said, from August to December. You know what these types of videos are. I am literally just going to talk about books that I'm excited for coming out. I will say, you will see a running theme of this is that I don't know too much about these books. I try not to know too much about synopsis of things going into it anyway. I like to be surprised as much as possible. So a lot of these are just, I have liked books by the author before, or I've heard like one thing about the book and I'm like, that's grabbing my attention. I think actually pretty much all of them are books that I have read from the author previously. And I'm going to guess that there will be some like debuts or just authors that are new to me that I don't even have on my radar yet, but then when I hear about the books as they're about to come out, I get really excited for. So this is by no means a comprehensive list, but it does have a fair few on there. Right, I said I'm just going to jump straight into it, so let's do that, shall we? Although actually, one last disclaimer before we start. The release dates on these I've gotten from the Waterstones website because I'm trying to go by UK release date. It may be that they are slightly different in your country. I know for at least one of them it comes out like a month earlier or like in the month earlier for other countries, and also these are subject to change because we all know, especially in the last couple of years, book releases have been jumping around and some of them are due to come out and then there's paper shortages and they don't get printed. I'm still waiting on like 3 books that Waterstones have taken my money for but have not sent me because they are changing warehouses at the minute, so they're not really sending things out. It's a whole thing. So these are the dates that I have, but they may change. We're just going to take everything with a pinch of salt in this video. So in August I have 3 anticipated releases, and they're all from authors I've read before. First one being Husband Material by Alexis Hall. I have read a few Alexis Hall books now, one of those being Boyfriend Material, which came out a couple of years ago now. It's about a character called Luke whose father was a famous rock star, and although he didn't really have too much to do with him, he is kind of known in the press because of being this rock star's son, and he hasn't necessarily got the best image, and then something happens and he has to kind of clean up his image in the press. So he ends up in this fake dating relationship with a barrister, and it's supposed to be like good for both of their images, but they don't actually have any interest in each other. I mean, it's fake dating, of course they do actually have interest in each other, and that happens throughout the story. This one's called Husband Material, so we can see where this one's leading. I'm very excited for it. I did really enjoy Boyfriend Material. So yeah, first of August for that one. The next one in August is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. This one I'm not going to be able to give you a synopsis for. If you would like to know more about why you should read this book, probably go over to Becca's channel. I'm sure she can sell it to you. But Ali Hazelwood is the author of The Love Hypothesis, which I did really enjoy, and like I said, don't really know too much about this one. I know it'll be a romance that involves STEM because that is generally what Ali Hazelwood does. I don't actually know what the romance trope is for this one. I might actually look it up while we're here. Bear with me 1 second. It seems like an enemies to lovers because it says that it's about a scientist who is forced to work with her nemesis, so maybe like academic rivals to lovers instead. So definitely along those lines. I'm very excited for that. Like I said, I really enjoyed The Love Hypothesis, and yeah, not much else to say about this one, just one that I'm looking forward to. The same as the next one, which is out on the 30th of August, and that is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I've read a few Taylor Jenkins Reid books now. I've read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Daisy Jones and the Six, and Malibu Rising. I do have some of her older ones to read as well, but those are the ones that I've read so far. This one is in that same world because all of those are kind of linked. Not like, it's not like you can't read one without the other, but they're all set around sort of showbiz and they're all set in the same universe, so some of the characters interact a little bit, and I believe that is the same for this one. And what I do know about this one, what I am excited about, is it all set around the world of tennis. I am a massive tennis fan. I have mentioned that a few times on here, but yeah, tennis is my favourite sport. I've been to Wimbledon a few times now. I would love to get to go to some of the other Grand Slams. I do love the world of tennis, so I think this could actually be really interesting to me. One of my favourite authors writing about the world of one of my favourite sports. Why not? Let's see how it goes. So now we move on to September. I have quite a few more in September. I have a few that are by favourite authors, a few that are continuations of series. There's a nice mixture. We're going to start off with the first one, which I have actually already read. You're sick of hearing me talk about this. But on the 1st of September, we have got Babel. It does come out in August for the US, but in the UK, it comes out on the 1st of September. It's a dark academia set at Oxford using Silverworker's magic system. It's all about language. It talks about themes of colonialism. It's such a good book. Everyone should read it. I'm saying that I don't think everyone will enjoy it, but it is such a good book. And of course, even though I've already read it, it's still a very, very anticipated release, so I had to put it on this list because I am anticipating all of my pretty editions of it. They're going to arrive at the end of August and beginning of September. The next one we have after that is The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. This is the second book in her newer series, which is set in the same world as the Caraval series. It started with Once Upon a Broken Heart and it is now carrying on with this. I could not give you a synopsis of either of these books really, because if you're halfway through Caraval or you're planning on reading Caraval, even saying who one of the main characters is kind of spoils something for you. So yeah, I'm not going to say too much, but I really enjoyed the first book in this series. The one thing that is really irritating me is that she won't say whether or not this is going to be a duology or a trilogy. I do have a feeling it's going to be a trilogy, but I would like to know that going into it because I would like to prepare for a middle book rather than prepare for an ending if that's how it's going to be. And she won't say it. I have tried to have a look because there are arcs out there. She has asked people not to spoil it, but I may have glimpsed at the Goodreads reviews just to see if I can figure it out. But either way, regardless of if it's an ending or not, I'm very excited to see where this story goes. So yeah, Ballad of Never After is definitely my next one on this list. I think I mentioned that comes out on the 13th, but then the next one that comes out on the 15th is The Sunbearer Trials by Aidan Thomas. Now, Aidan Thomas is the author of Cemetery Boys. They also wrote a book called Lost in the Neverwoods, which I didn't love quite as much. Cemetery Boys is a 5-star, it's fantastic. Lost in the Neverwoods was a 3-star. There was just some things with the pacing that I didn't love, but although they came out with Cemetery Boys first and then Lost in the Neverwoods after, Lost in the Neverwoods was actually their debut and they just came out in the wrong order. So I'm very optimistic that the writing style has progressed and it will be more Cemetery Boys level than Lost in the Neverwoods level. And to be honest, the story of this one is just intriguing me anyway, and the cover, I mean, look, I will put it here, it is beautiful. And basically this is the start of a new fantasy series that is inspired by Mexican mythology and features characters that are semi-dioses. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm very sorry, it's been a while since I've done Spanish. But basically that means that they are demigods, and I'm just very, very excited for this. It sounds really good, and like I said, if it's the level of Cemetery Boys, it's going to be fantastic. We then have got 3 releases on the 27th of September. The first one being Foul Lady Fortune, which is sort of a spin-off series from the These Violent Delights duology. Again, I cannot give you a synopsis of this because it follows a particular character after that series, so I don't want to tell you like who's alive and who's not at the end of that. But These Violent Delights was a Romeo and Juliet retelling set in 1920s Shanghai, and it does have a fantasy element to it as well. And like I said, this is a sort of spin-off series set a while after with one of the side characters as the main character. I will say the character that is following, it was not one of my favourites in the original duology, but I'm still excited to see what happens with this one because it might be that when we're reading from their point of view, I actually really like it. I did enjoy that duology. I feel like the first book was definitely stronger than the second one, but I enjoyed it enough that I'm very excited for this one coming out. We then have got a graphic novel coming out from one of my favourites, that is Leigh Bardugo. The graphic novel is called Demon in the Wood. It's based on a short story about the Darkling. It is a pretty cool story. I'm very excited for this one. I love Leigh Bardugo. I'm always excited to have more from her, and I think her stories could work really well in graphic novel format as well. So yeah, we've got that one coming out on the 27th as well. And then the last one that I have on the 27th is Locke and Cassim Start a Revolution, which is by Case and Calendar. I honestly do not know anything about the synopsis of this one. Running theme of this video, I did warn you, but basically when I was getting the list together for this, I was just kind of looking through books that were coming out by authors I like, and this one popped up and I was like, I did not realise that Case and Calendar had a new book coming out. I loved Case and Calendar's last book that I read, which was Felix Ever After, and didn't love the one that I read from them before that. But again, in a similar way to Aidan Thomas, like, it was an older one, and I feel like the writing style had clearly got a lot better. So I'm hoping that after Felix Ever After, we're going to carry on in that style, because what I did read of the synopsis of this one I was really interested in. I cannot remember it right now, and I'm not going to look it up because I want to go into it surprised. But it's on my radar either way. We then have got one on the 29th of September, and that one is The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. Ashley Poston I have read from before. I've read the Geekerella series, which is a YA series. The Dead Romantics is her first adult book, I believe. It is an adult romance. It's about a character who's a ghostwriter, and then her editor, who she doesn't particularly get on with, won't give her a deadline extension, and then something happens and she ends up finding the ghost of her editor on her doorstep. And the synopsis says, romance is most certainly dead, but so is her new editor, and his unfinished business will have her second guessing everything she's ever known about love stories. I'm not quite sure where this is going to go, but I'm intrigued by it, and I did like what I read in the Geekerella series, so I'm excited to see what she does with an adult book. And I do actually have the arc of this one, and I may try and read it in August, because for anyone who doesn't know, Tori's doing arc August, where we all try and read through any arcs that we've requested on NetGalley and haven't got around to yet. If you haven't requested any, you can just read regular books. I will link all the info to that down below if you want to take part. I may not do it for the full month, but I may kind of dedicate a week to reading some of the arcs that I'm behind on, because I do have a couple that are on this list. I have, like, so far I have Foul Lady Fortune and I have The Dead Romantics, so I could definitely read some of the September releases in August. Moving on to October, we have 3 books that I'm really anticipating in October, and it's quite a range of different things actually, and I'm excited for all of them, hence why they're all on this list. Obviously, I'm just repeating myself now. But the first one comes out on the 4th of October, and that is The First to Die at the End by Adam Silvera. So this is a prequel book set in the Deathcast universe. The Deathcast universe was first introduced in They Both Die at the End, which has obviously become a little bit of a sensation on TikTok, and that is why this book ended up getting written, basically. In the world of Deathcast, what happens is on the day that you're going to die, you get a phone call telling you that it is your last day, and then you get to kind of spend it however you want to. You don't know how you're going to die, you don't know when it's going to happen, but you know it's going to happen before midnight that day. And the first book in the series, as it says, they both die at the end. It's a romance that does not have a happy ending, and I always find it funny when people are shocked when it actually happens, because it's like, he did warn you. But this one, The First to Die at the End, is about when Deathcast was first becoming a thing, and I'm excited. He has hinted that we will see some characters that we already know, which I am excited, but also I'm going to get emotional when I read them. I'm like, but I know what happens. This is the first of a few new books in the Deathcast universe, I believe. Yeah, I am excited to see where this one goes. I'm a little bit hesitant. I'm a little bit nervous of whether or not I've not read anything new by him other than like his one with Becky Albertalli in a while. Not since like he started writing the Infinity Cycle, which we all know is not his best, and I'm a bit worried of like what it's going to be like. I'm hoping that it'll be, oh yeah, this is the writing that I like from you. Fingers crossed. But either way, we all know I'm going to read it pretty much as soon as it comes out, so I don't, even if I'm scared about it, I'm still going to read it, and hopefully I'm going to love it. Then on the 18th of October, we have Paris Dylancourt is About to Crumble, which is a second book in a companion series written by Alexis Hall, who I've already mentioned in this video. The first one was Rosaline Palmer Takes a Cake. Basically, it's a series of romances that are all set on a baking show a la Great British Bake Off, and they're all queer as well. So the first one focused on a bisexual female main character, which was really good actually, because as well as being this like cute romance and this fun stuff on a baking show, it had a lot of good discussions about like how bisexual women are viewed by sort of different groups of people, and also the main character was a single mum as well, so that all played into it. And there was just like a lot more to it than I expected there to be going into it. I read it fully expecting it to be something light and fluffy, and it was really fun, but there was also like so much more to it, and I really loved that book. I kind of want to reread it now when I'm talking about it. This always happens when I film videos, but I'm really excited for the second one. I don't know too much about this other than I believe it is a male-male romance between 2 of the contestants on the show. I know the cover looks cute, it's got a rainbow cake on it. I don't know, I'm just excited for this. I believe the plan is that there's going to be a few in this series, and each book is going to be a different series of the baking competition. So realistically, it could go on for a while, because how many series have we had of Great British Bake Off at this point? Either way, I'm very happy for these books to keep coming. I really enjoyed the first one. And then on the 25th of October, we have got The Atlas Paradox, which is the sequel to The Atlas 6. I read The Atlas 6 earlier on in this year and was really pleasantly surprised at how much I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It's another Dark Academia. I am definitely finding that I enjoy Dark Academia this year. It's one of my new discoveries I've made after reading The Atlas 6 and Babel. I'm like, look, maybe this is the type of book I need to be picking more up of. They're very different books actually, but just Dark Academia in general I'm really gravitating towards. So I'm really excited for the sequel for The Atlas 6 to come out, because I just want to know what happens. There's not much else to say about that. Basically, the Atlas 6 was about this group of people, I believe they're described as academicians, so academic magicians, and they are inducted into this secret society that is all about protecting the Library of Alexandria. But when they're inducted into society, although there are 6 of them chosen, they know that only 5 of them can actually stay, and they don't know how that is decided and what's going to happen there. So they're all kind of constantly on edge from the very beginning, and no one entirely trusts each other. So there's a lot of things going on around that, and the first book is basically just all about that playing out and finding out more about how it goes from 6 to 5, and I really enjoyed it, like I said. So yeah, excited for the second one. I don't know if it's a series or if it's just a duology. I probably should look into this. This isn't like the Stephanie Garber thing where she won't tell us how long it is. It is literally just that I haven't looked into it. I have just looked into it. Apparently, according to an FAQ on the author's Tumblr, it is supposed to be a trilogy. I did not know that. I'm excited now that there are going to be even more books in this series. Moving on to November, and this is actually the last month I'm going to talk about, because while I said that this was anticipated releases up till December, not that many books tend to release in December. There tends to be there's sometimes some like the very last week, just before New Year, but a lot of books tend to be released like November at the latest because they want people to buy them for Christmas. So it sometimes goes a little bit quieter, and that is definitely one scene here, because I could not find any books that were being published in December in the UK anyway. I found a few that were being published like the first week of January, and maybe they're being published in December in the US. But anyway, these are my last 3 that I'm going to talk about, and these are all published in November. The first one being Ocean's Echo by Everina Maxwell. This is a standalone that is set in the same universe as Winter's Orbit, which came in an Illumicrate Crate box not last year, the year before I think it was, or maybe it was early last year. Either way, I read that one. Shock that I read a subscription box book, I am well aware of that, but I did read it and I did really enjoy it, and I don't know too much about what the story is of this one in particular, but like I said, I really enjoyed that one. I am happy to read more in this world. It is said a standalone, and I believe it is completely separate as well. I don't think there's going to be too much crossover. It is just set in the same world, but there were like a lot of areas that you could have looked into within that world. So we will see how it goes. But that one comes out on the 3rd of November. Okay, so I've actually just realised that I forgot one. The reason why I forgot it is that I'm not entirely sure if it is coming out in the UK in November, but it's coming out in the US in November, and I will be getting a copy of it in November by whichever means possible, because it is a Christmas book. Basically, this one is Kiss Her Once for Me, which is by Alison Cochrane, who is the author of The Charm Offensive, which I read earlier on this year. And this one was actually sort of advertised at the back of the book. And I looked at it and thought I really enjoyed The Charm Offensive, but oh my god, I'm so much more excited for this one. It's a sapphic Christmas book, and I'm just going to read you like the tiny little thing from the top of the synopsis, which says that the author of The Charm Offensive returns from a festive romantic comedy about a woman who fakes an engagement with her landlord only to fall for his sister. That sounds fantastic. It's a sapphic Christmas romance. This is all I need to know. And yeah, it comes out on the 1st of November in the US, and my copy of The Charm Offensive is a US copy, to be honest. I don't think she's actually published in the UK, but I will be getting this one somehow in November or December. It needs to be read this year at Christmas, obviously. I'm not going to read the rest of the synopsis because that is enough for me. And then speaking of sapphic books, the last one that I have to talk about is out on the 22nd of November, and that is Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail. So this is the sequel, well, it's another companion book to Delilah Green Doesn't Care, which I read earlier on this year and really enjoyed. And basically, Delilah Green Doesn't Care was about Delilah, who has moved away from the town that she grew up in and sort of started this new life, and then she ends up coming back home for her stepsister's wedding to take photos, although she doesn't really speak to her family, but she ends up starting a romance with her stepsister's best friend. And then after that, there's going to be 2 more books in this series, one of them being the stepsister and then one of them being the other best friend, because there's sort of a trio of them. And I'm really intrigued by this one actually, because I believe that they are all going to be sapphic stories. And in the first one, basically Delilah is a lesbian and then the love interest Claire is bisexual. In the third one that's going to come out, that character, whose name is escaping me, I want to say it's Iris, is also bisexual, and we know this from the first book. The character that this one is about, Astrid, from what I remember, as far as we know in the first book, she's straight. But it is going to be a sapphic relationship. So I'm really intrigued to see how that develops in this story as well. And I was really intrigued by the character of Astrid in the first book anyway. I really enjoyed the first book, can you tell? A good one to end my anticipated releases on. Just one that I'm very, very intrigued by. So that is pretty much everything. That is my most anticipated releases. Like I said, this is in no way a comprehensive list. When I said that most of these were by authors that I've read from before, I lied. They're all from authors that I've read from before, because I remembered that how I created this list was literally looking at Goodreads releases from authors that you've read from before. So yeah, these are all authors that I've read from. I'm sure there are plenty of books that I'm excited for that I haven't read from those authors, but I'm not the best at keeping new books on my radar. So we'll just see what happens. I'll be pleasantly surprised by books throughout the year. Right, so that is everything. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff down below. Let me know what your most anticipated release is for the rest of the year, and I will see you guys next time with a new video. Bye.